My previous relationships were very different from one another. One was very immature, I guess, from our age because we were quite young, and the second one was quite intense, but yeah, a little bit more mature than the first. My relationships lasted relatively long. The first one was 2.5 years, and then the second one was a year and a half. I would say I have fallen in love 2, possibly 3 times, but with hindsight, maybe not even at all. Every feeling of love is different. I felt different about each person in each relationship and how love is portrayed. The love was different in each relationship because I think age was a massive factor. The first one, I think we were school sweethearts. And then the second one, the love was intense and a bit crazy. Yeah, they were just completely different. Love was incredibly difficult. Especially round 2, the love was difficult. I think because the love was difficult, I could possibly label that as a toxic relationship. The second relationship I fell into quite quickly. I've been single for a while, but we entangled into this relationship really quickly. And then my partner lost his father quite soon after we got together, so I'd say we were quite trauma bonded. It was very much, I wanted to look after him because he just lost his dad. And yeah, it just developed from there. He was very sweet at the beginning, of course, and then he wasn't very sweet anymore and was doing things that I probably wouldn't let anything else slide, wouldn't let slide with anyone else, but I let it slide with him because of love. My previous partner would accuse me of cheating on him all of the time. And I had never been unfaithful. He would tell me that I have and then kind of make me feel that way, that I had done something wrong. He was quite rude actually in the way he spoke to me, but I'd let it slide. He wasn't very respectful, didn't respect my time, my space, my efforts. I was a student at the time, so I was obviously very busy, and I was working really hard as well to earn money to be able to afford it, to live at uni, and he just did not have any respect for that. Ultimately, it did end up that he was being unfaithful, which I guess is why he would accuse me of doing that, because it made himself feel better. So all round, not a great relationship and incredibly difficult to be in. The experiences were awful. They made me feel horrible. They make you feel like it's degrading. You feel a bit worthless. It's upsetting. I always say, looking back at it, I think maybe I cried more than I laughed in that relationship. And that's obviously not a very nice thing. I think he took a lot out of me. It was very draining to be in that relationship. And it feels like effort, although you want to try really hard because you care a lot about that person, you love that person a lot. But you've got to put yourself first. And I think sometimes that's a challenge when you think about yourselves. We didn't think about each other as individuals, or I definitely didn't. I thought about us together and how to make things work for us rather than for me. So yeah, that was a tough pill to swallow, and it was really hard and was hard on me. Made me very sad, very ill. I believe that love was felt even though the relationship was quite negative and I felt negatively towards it. I would still do everything for my partner out of love, I guess, out of care, compassion and respect for my partner. I think love was still there, and that made it harder to leave because I believed that I loved him and I believed that he loved me and he would change, but now looking back, that wasn't the case. I think it does make love feel more powerful. I think you grasp onto the smallest bits of love, and because you're holding on to that so tightly, it's more intense because you're just worried to let it go. So then you love harder because you think that loving harder will make things better, and it doesn't change anything. So yeah, it's way more intense. 5 words to describe the love that we had. I'd say intense. I'd say complicated because it really was. One-sided, quite possibly. Hard, number 5. Bitter, bittersweet, I would say. It took me a long time to come to terms with the relationship not working. I think that's why it took me a long time to leave the relationship. We had ups and downs. I think we split up quite a lot. but within hours we were back working at it again. And I think there's just a fear to leave. Like, I think because at the beginning we were bonded through trauma, it's just difficult to leave because there's this intensity of love and there's this comfort and some weird type of stability, and you have this connection that you feel that you wouldn't find again in anybody else, but actually you deserve more than that connection. And I think it's a fear of leaving and being on your own. All I ever knew was that, and then to let that go, that was quite scary. So I think that's why it took so long, because I just didn't know if I could do it on my own. And it took me probably like 6 months to actually leave the relationship that I knew was at the end of its tether. I think it's easy to tell somebody else to walk away from a toxic relationship. You're looking into their relationship and how they work, and you can tell that they don't gel. So I think it's easy for other people to say to leave. And I experienced that myself. People would tell me that it wasn't a good relationship and to leave. But I think when you're in that relationship, you have to be ready to do so. So the amount of times that I was told, like, this isn't working, you need to leave, like, it's not making you happy, it took months for me to actually realise that that is what I needed for me. It's so much easier to say to someone that's just not right, but that person has to be ready to turn around and be okay with not being with them anymore. And that takes a lot of courage for that person. I still care about him in some weird way. Like, I always want to make sure that he's okay, even though I don't actually feel like I care too much, but I just want to make sure, because he was a big part of my life. I would say in love, not at all. I'm not in love with him, but there's always going to be love left. I always think about if they were in an accident, I would still make sure that they were okay, and I think that's love. Like, you just care too much. It's not just caring like about a friend, it's caring about someone that you shared a lot of your life with, and I would still be their bedside, I think, just to make sure they're okay. So maybe there is love, but it's not a passionate love that would have been present at the time that you were with them. It's not an in-love feeling, it's just a love and care. Being in love, I think you feel something in your tummy which you don't feel when you look at your mum. Like, it's the feeling that they give you in the pit of your stomach, or like they make your skin crawl in a good way, not a bad way. And then, I think, there is a difference physically as well. Like, you feel things happen. Other love you don't feel physically. You will sometimes, if something were to happen, like, you feel the pain in your heart, don't you? But I think otherwise they do things to you that you just physically feel different. Being in love is physically different. I've learnt a lot from this past one, not just about what I expect from a relationship and what I expect from my romantic partner, but also the expectations of myself. I've learnt what I want, what I deserve. I do not want anything like this previous relationship at all.